welcome to just another Killteam podcast video review of the Goremongers. First, I want to say thank you to Games Workshop for sending a preview copy of Blood and Zeal to Travis and I. Wouldn't be possible without that. Super amazing. So let's get into it. First of all, this is my Goremongers. I built and painted them, as well as terrain painted by my good friend Lee. Thank you for that amazing job on the paint here. Goremongers, super cool, fun to build, fun to paint, just super cool. Love this vibe. Overview. The Goremongers are the new World Eaters kill team. They are fast and ferocious. The vibe and playstyle includes the ferocity, melee-heavy focus, and survivability similar to Felgor Ravagers, blended with the speed and action efficiency of Eldari teams. The team consists of 8 models, 10 wounds, 7-inch movement, 5 up armor save, 2 APL, pretty good melee, and pretty bad shooting. Play this team if you love Khorne, World Eaters, or explosive violence with a touch of lurking. Jumping into the tools and tech of the team, we've got faction rules, the first of which is Runes of Khorne. Ted's going to love this one. These models can't take more than 8 damage from a single shooting attack. Pretty gnarly, so you do have to shoot them twice or shoot them and fight them. But I mean, if you shoot them down to 2 health and run them out of their blood tank, you know, they lose a lot of efficiency, so don't panic yet. Anyways, moving right along, Sangue Vitae. These are the kind, they're kind of like aspect techniques from the Blades of Cain, except you only have 1 set of abilities instead of 1 for each aspect, and you still have specialists. Any Goremonger can use the Sangue Vitae, so that's including all your specialists, your Skull Claimer, all that. Every model can either have empty, half, or full gore tanks. So there's 3 stages, 0, 1, or 2. Keeping your gore tanks full empowers your ploys, and you can trade your gore tanks for one-time use abilities, and that is the Sangue Vitae. More on that, you can use 2 Sangue Vitae per activation max, and you can't use the same Sangue Vitae more than once per activation. They are listed here. The red ones can't be used at the same time. That's Mania and Fury. Going down the list, we've got Rejuvenate, where you can heal 2d3. Mania is +1 APL. Fury is fight twice and your second fight is free. Surge is +1 inch of movement, which is gnarly because you already have a base movement of 7 inches, so this gets you up to 8. Rage gives you +1 attack in melee, which honestly, I'm having a hard time convincing myself that's worth it, more than just having 4 attacks balanced. I guess if you are really down to your last leg, looking for like a Hail Mary crit or something, and you didn't use the enhanced violence ploy, which we'll talk about soon, maybe it's fine, but in general, I feel like that's probably the one that matters the least. And then Rake is deal D3 damage on the charge. When it comes to the strategy ploys, we've got 4 of them, just like all the other teams. Enhanced Violence is better melee, pretty straightforward. Augmented Endurance is better armor saves, and they both kind of have the same mechanics. We'll explain them all at once here. When your tanks are empty, both of these ploys do nothing. When your tanks are half full, it gives you balanced in melee, which will also apply to your wrist chains, which we'll talk about in a second as well. Or augmented endurance gives you balanced on your armor save. Even though armor save doesn't have that keyword, it is the same thing where you just reroll a single die. So half tank, reroll a single die, whether it's melee, wrist chain shooting, or armor saves for augmented endurance. And then if you are full, it goes up to a relentless. So if your gore tank is full, you are relentless in melee, and your armor saves are relentless. So you just reroll everything, once again, even though relentless doesn't get that keyword. Your other 2 ploys are Gory Tenacity, where the first die against you does half damage in melee. Super duper solid, really adds a lot to their survivability for this team. But, you know, you gotta watch out, your opponent can kind of play around it. If they like strike with a normal hit first and then hit you with a crit, there's less damage reduction, so they can kind of squeak through some hits there. I don't think it's going to come up a lot, but something to think about, watch out for. And the last strategy ploy is Hunt for Blood. And this one is just you charge an enemy in the strategy phase. It is limited to 3 inches, so watch out for that. I mean, it's a little bit bigger than your other like catch people off guard charges. So Hunt for Blood, huge. If you are just like getting stuck in all over the place and the turn ends, you can just hunt for blood if you lose initiative to just tag someone that doesn't want to be tagged, and it's pretty gnarly. Very cool. Moving on to the firefight ploys, we have 4, once again, like everyone. Lacerate Flesh fills your blood tank for an activation, but it goes away at the end of the activation, and if you go below empty at the end, you take damage. So you kind of have to be careful for that. There's a lot of like bad ways to use it if you're just like willy-nilly about it. So honestly, like the best way that I can think to use that is like if your tank is empty, and you fight someone and you get them down to 1 health and you don't quite kill them, use Lacerate Flesh so that you fill it up, lets you fight again, you kill them, it fills your tank back up, you lose it, and you didn't even take any damage. So you essentially just paid 1 command point to fight twice, even though your blood tank was empty. Let me know in the comments if you can think of any other cool uses for the Lacerate Flesh ploy. I'm sure there's more out there. Moving right along, we have Destructive Demise, which is exactly what it sounds like. When you die, you deal damage. This is another one that stacks with your gore tanks. If it's empty, it's a D3. If it's half, it's D3 plus 1. And if it's full, it's D3 plus 2, which is pretty good because 3 to 5 damage is like a pretty solid hit. D3 plus 2, that's even more than that. That's, no, it is 3 to 5. I can do math. Anyways, Gore Thirst is the next one. This is basically an ambush counteract. So you use this ploy with someone when it's your turn to counteract. You select someone that has a conceal order. You change them to engage, and they can either shoot, charge, or fight during that counteract, which is also pretty huge. It makes them feel a little bit more like an elite team. Like the Eldari don't quite have this because if you're on conceal, you can't counteract. Whereas Goremongers can, but you have to spend a CP for it. Still super good. Last one on the list is Unbridled Aggression. This one, when you charge someone, you roll your dice to fight in melee, you see your dice, and then you can pay a CP for Unbridled Aggression to gain Severe, which is super duper good, especially because you've got people that have Rending in melee. So if you roll like 4 normal hits, you can pay a CP for 2 crits, which is bananas. Very strong. Very strong indeed. Moving right along into the equipment. 4, just like everyone else, the Gory Totem is a token that you place in your territory, and then enemies within 3 can't re-roll anything. The big thing that stands out for me is place it somewhere that you want to stage. So if you want to be launching attacks from somewhere, put the Gory Totem there. If people try to disrupt you before you launch your attacks, they can't re-roll anything, so it becomes very dangerous for a lot of people to attack your staging area. Pretty good. Pretty neat. There's probably ways to play without it, but it's a strong way to play if you do use it that way. It does kind of force you to funnel things, less threat saturation, but, it's cool. Bloody Cadaver. This is just a token that you place in your territory. You can pick it up and carry it, which is huge. And at the start of every ready operative step, one of your models that controls the token gains a blood tank point, a gore tank. And like I said, you can carry it. So, the most obvious thing here is you have your comms guy pick up the Bloody Cadaver, and then that fills him up, and then he uses his comms ability to hand it off to someone that's about to missile out. So, yeah, that'd be pretty good, just pretty consistent there. And then the Chaos Sigil reduces piercing by 1, which is pretty huge, actually, because if you have enhanced violence or augmented endurance going on, and you reroll all of your armor saves, if someone hits you with like a crack grenade and they get 3 hits, you roll 5 dice, you get 1 hit, you reroll the other 2, you get another 1, maybe even 2. All of a sudden, you took like 4 or 0 damage, and they're going to be a little more, like, not consistent or predictable, but a little more shooty proof than you would like want if you're shooting at them. But like I said, not consistently, and you kind of have to work for it. So I think it seems fair and fine. And the last piece of equipment here is wrist chains, which you can use your chain glaive and other similar weapons. It's pretty much everything except like the impaler and the pistols, I think. But it turns into nunchucks, and you can do a 2-inch shooting attack with it once per turning point. So it's kind of like your crack grenades. You can charge someone, get an extra APL, and then hit someone with your wrist chain shooting attack. Now you've got 3 APL until your next activation for something like scoring overrun, which is, some nice synergy there. And to make it even gnarlier, the enhanced violence strategy ploy that gives you more rerolls depending on how full your gore tank is works with the wrist chains as well, because it just says that it affects those weapons. And if that weapon is doing a melee or a shooting attack, it's still that weapon. So pretty cool there. Let me know if you disagree in the comments, because I feel like that one is maybe a little bit up in the air, but it looks like it should work that way. Operatives, and which ones are the best? The Blood Herald is the leader, and you have to take him. The leader is pretty good. He has a once per game pre-nerf Justice Scratch. For anyone that hasn't been around for, this is an old Octarius reference. It's basically you ignore a single die of damage, and it applies to crits as well, which is huge. He also has solid pistol shooting. It's like 8 inches, hitting on 2s. And I forgot if it's 3-3 or 4-4, but it's pretty good. It's like it's some of your best shooting on the team. And then also once per game, when the Blood Herald's gore tank goes empty, you can just refill it for free, which is huge. So all in all, pretty durable, pretty shooty, pretty fighty, and he uses extra abilities for free. So all around, good. Next up, the best on the team. Amazing. We all know that I love skews. This is my skew. Basic warriors are aspirants. They have 4/5 rending in melee, which is just bananas, and it's like some of the best on the team. I mean, it honestly kind of compares with the 5/6 brutal, just because, you know, parrying crits and all that. It's, I don't know, it's good stuff, and you can have a bunch of them. Plus, their data sheet ability is just Obsessive Bloodlust, which, when you end a fight action, if you're not in control range of enemies, you can do a charge action up to 2 inches, and it is not excluded from other restrictions of charging. So if you charge someone, kill them, you can still charge again. Or if you start the activation in melee, kill someone, you can 2-inch charge into someone else, kill them, and you can still charge again later. Pretty crazy. Super huge. This is like the key to pulling off double kills with this team. Because the other models with like the shooting and stuff is kind of mid unless you are using the wrist chains and shooting from 2 inches away, and that's pretty good, but it's not as good as just chopping people in melee because there's no armor saves. So aspirants are amazing, and you should definitely try out running this team with all aspirants. The cool kids are doing it. That's not necessarily true, but it will be super fun. If you don't want to buy another box and you've got some Jakhals lying around, they'll make perfect aspirants. If you've got a bunch of bloodletters anyways, just run a Blood Herald and a bunch of aspirants using all bloodletters. Cool vibes. Huge. Amazing. The rest of the specialists are cool, but the aspirants are super good. Moving on to the Skull Claimer, he's the dude with the big axe. He farms command points, which is huge, because you are a pretty CP-hungry team. He's 5/6 brutal in melee, which is extremely solid. Yeah, he's the best melee model on the team. And when you kill someone with the giant axe, you gain a command point, which you can do once per turning point. On top of that, I didn't write it in the slides, he's got an ability called Brutish, which is you can just opt to take normal damage instead of critical damage. And it's for sure in melee, and it's maybe in shooting also. But either way, he's pretty tanky, super killy, and he gives you command points. Huge. Next on the list is the Stalker, which is the climber guy. He's pretty much the exact same thing as an aspirant. He's got 4/5 melee and a super terrible pistol that you probably never want to be shooting. But you trade your Obsessive Bloodlust for the Chain Lightning Charge, and instead you can climb anything for 2, and when you're on a vantage or after you drop a vantage, you are relentless, which is pretty big. So this guy can kind of like spend blood tokens, spend his gore tanks like a little willy-nilly and still have relentless, which is, like I said, important. Plus just like jumping up into the sniper nest and catching people off guard is going to be huge on Volcus, but completely useless on the Gallodark. So if you do have one extra aspirant, if you want to take them super seriously, it'll be nice to have an extra aspirant to replace this guy whenever you play on the Gallodark. Or just, be like, he's a aspirant now. Whatever. Don't think anyone's going to care about that. Next on the list is the Blood Taker, who is your comms guy. He's pretty solid. It definitely hurts that he only has 3/5 in melee, and he still has the same crappy pistol as everyone else. So he's like surprisingly mid at melee, because 3 damage kind of just sucks. But the big thing that makes him good is that he's your blood comms guy. He carries the bloody cadaver around that farms your gore tank, and then you can hand it off to all the other homies on the team. And that's pretty good. And then in a pinch, if you need him to kill someone, you can use the rake ability to get through his lack of reliably breaking through wound breakpoints, because 3-5 is not good. Anyways, next in the line is the Insider. He's the pistol guy. These last two are definitely the least... They'd be the first ones I would drop on the team. I mean, they both kind of like have a place, because the pistol guy does more shooting damage than you'd expect. Like, honestly, he probably puts out more reliable damage than like the blooded melt-a-gun, because you can just like hit 0 or 1 times with that. Whereas this guy is hitting on 3s ceaseless, which is actually pretty solid, even though it's only 2-2, but it is devastating 1, and when you do any damage with it whatsoever, even if it's just like the single damage from the crit, which will become 2 because it's rending, anyways, that makes enemies bleed, and you put a token on them, and then at any time when you're activating within 8 inches of a bleeding enemy, you can claim that bleeding for filling up your gore tank, which is pretty good. And he kind of sucks at melee, so he's just 3-4 in melee. So you kind of just like chip and harass people. Try not to get into fights unless it's someone you can absolutely bully and generate more gore tank. It's a little bit of a toss-up. I feel like in plenty of matchups, I would just take an aspirant over that for that chain lightning, like double kill charge, better melee. You know, there's an argument to go either way there. And kind of same thing with the Impaler. He's the hook and pull guy, the Scorpion get over here. I think he's the worst operative on the team because he doesn't have any rerolls. So you're kind of just like living and dying on just basic, completely unmodified dice rolls. You don't really want to be burning command points on rerolling this because you have so many good ploys that you're super CP hungry and you're so much worse without these ploys. You definitely can't just be like spending CP willy-nilly on rerolling it. So the naked dice, not great. But he is super cool. I mean, like, if you get lucky, you hook a model and pull them closer. I mean, there's some neat opportunities there. If you're playing against mandrakes, you pull a target out of shadow so they can't shadows bite you. If someone is just barely outside of your charge range, you can just yoink them closer and then run away, and then someone else can charge them and kind of sink their teeth in there. Also pretty good. And how to play as Goremongers. Lurk and go for double kills and favorable trades. The team probably does plant beacons pretty well. And this is actually a team that I would consider doing seek and destroy tac ops with as well. Since you've got a little bit more staying power with things, you can charge and kill people and stay alive maybe. I mean, they look pretty durable, but I mean, I think they're easier to kill than people expect, so watch out for that. But just, they're quick, they can get into enemy territory, they can kill people, they can have 3 APL. You know, like Champion, you can get some double kills, they can kill Space Marines well enough. They've got a lot going on for them that they might be one of the better teams for Seek and Destroy. But definitely worth noodling around with plant beacons, because that is just a very strong tac op, and they do have access to recon, which is another thing that makes them even better. Be mindful that you are very command point hungry, so try to condense as many trades into a single turning point as possible. You're pretty vulnerable if your tanks are low and your ploys are not active. Like, you're just running around on naked dice and getting smoked. So, and you can't really sustainably spend for all of your ploys, so you got to be careful, trigger it all at the right time, and go out there and get them. The Sanguivitae are just super duper good. They really gas up the team, but once you're out of gore in the gore tanks, you're going to be struggling. So you got to be careful. You got to manage your resources right. On that note, playing against them, don't panic. This is not the end of the world. I've seen a lot of people worried that they're going to be too strong. Maybe. I don't think they're going to be as too strong as people think. I feel like Felgor Ravagers is a little bit more toxic than this. I mean, Felgor Ravagers are fine, but this... You can kill them with normal damage. There's only 8 of them. They've got plenty of healing, but it's their armor saves are not great. It's like if you feel like you can kill a Gellerpox Hulk, you can kill Goremongers. But Gellerpox Hulks are even better at melee, and they've got a bunch of other goons to do missions and clog you up. So, you know, it's not the end of the world. Should be fine. Shooting will actually kill them. I mean, it's not every day that you kill 10 wound models in a single shot anyways. There's not a whole lot of teams that can do that. Maybe we're specifically bullying Necrons a little bit, RIP, but they're already dead anyways. But they reanimate, so hey, stand back up and slap these Goremongers into the ground. It's not hopeless. Yes, they are tough in melee, but their shooting is super weak. So if you shoot them down to 2 wounds, they heal back up to 5 wounds, they charge you, you zap them, they hit you once, you fight them back and they die. Fine and dandy. Also, just be mindful that if you're worried about how killy they are, they have to choose between killing and scoring. So focus on scoring your points, focus on trying to not give up double kills, and you'll be fine. If they don't have all their ploys up, they're pretty vulnerable. So hit them before they're ready, or kite them when they spend all their command points, and then let them not trade efficiently, and then kill them back on the next turn. How do they fare? In my opinion, I think they're pretty solid middle of the pack A tier. They're super good, definitely super playable. I think of all the teams that we've got in 3rd edition from new boxes, they are second best right behind Sanctifiers. I think they're stronger than Ratlings, Wreck-A Crew. They're stronger than Vespid and Tempestus Aquilons, but that's pretty easy because they didn't really set a super high bar. Definitely solid looking team here with the Goremongers. I also feel like they're probably going to be less feels bad to play against than Felgor. When Felgor were at their peak, for anyone that remembers that from 2nd edition, it was just you couldn't kill them, you couldn't do anything about it, and they would just park on the points and poo-poo on you. But the Goremongers, even if you knock them down, you can still kill them later easier, and there's less of them, even though they are a little more killy. But when it comes to my opinion on Goremongers versus Sanctifiers, I think Sanctifiers are a lot stronger. Sanctifiers are the real ones to be scared of. On that note, maybe it's a little overblown because I've hardly had any experience with these teams. We got to see how it all pans out, and maybe they're less strong on the Gallo Dark. But on Volcus, Sanctifiers are bananas. That is it for the presentation today. If you haven't already, definitely go swing by and check out Travis's review of the Sanctifiers as well. And feel free to tune into our podcasts, which happen regularly. We'll see you over there.